Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice of radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Togekiss card. And I feel like we don't talk about Togekiss very often on this channel, and I'm a little bit excited that we get to go ahead and fix that right now. Of course, our translation comes from the lovely David Hochmann over at limitlesstcg.com/translations. And Togekiss is a stage 2, which is awkward, but remember, another fairy Pokemon, Alolan Ninetales, has made stage 2s viable again. Yay! It's got 140 HP, which is low for a stage 2. My boy Empoleon's got 160. That's about standard nowadays. The retreat cost of 1 is very low and does give access to Escape Board. The weakness to metal is... it's not that bad, to be honest. There's just not many metal Pokemon around at the moment, so, you know, cool. Resistance to darkness is huge because it means a Zoroark with a Professor Kukui will not get a one-hit KO. Usually they'd be hitting 140 with a full bench, but they only hit 120 because of your resistance. That's great. And being a fairy Pokemon does mean you're hitting weakness against Rayquaza and any other dragon Pokemon, and that could be relevant because you do enough damage here to one-shot a Rayquaza. But it's not really about the attack and the amount of damage that you're doing. It's about the ability. Fairy Banquet. I love that name. Once during your turn, you may heal 30 damage from all of your fairy Pokemon. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a great ability. It is a huge amount of healing, and we've had a whole bunch of cards in the past which have shown us that this is a really nice ability. Remember Rough Seas? Rough Seas was a lovely little stadium card which allowed you to heal 30 damage from each of your water and lightning Pokemon, and that would be used with stuff like Mega Manectric. And what was really good about Rough Seas, and it did help that Manectric had free retreat, what was really good about this was that you would attack, I'm about to get KO'd, retreat, and then heal up every turn. And you just keep healing. So if you had 120 damage on you, you retreat to the bench, heal 30. Next turn, heal 30. Next turn, heal 30. Next turn, you're completely healed and you're off and ready and good to go. That's what Togekiss does here so beautifully. But we've seen lately people, we saw recently a deck list coming out of Japan. I'll pop a link to this one in the description. It was a Celebi and Venusaur deck that was relying on Shaman from Lost Thunder. Now, don't get me wrong, right? I know Shaman from Lost Thunder is a basic, but I also know that Shaman only heals 20 damage from one active grass Pokemon rather than 30 damage from each of your fairy Pokemon. Togekiss is a significantly better option in terms of healing than Shaman is, and it's not even close. And the thing is that we've got a whole bunch of fairy cards at the moment, and fairy attackers, that are going to make this relevant. Gardevoir is a good deck. Gardevoir's never really stopped being a good deck. It has come in and out of play. The ability letting you attach an extra fairy energy per turn is phenomenal. The attack letting you do 30 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon is phenomenal. Here's the thing though. Tag Team GXs are about to come and start taking over the format, like Celebi and Venusaur, like Pikachu and Zekrom. They're crushing in Japan. I actually did a video about how they're crushing in Japan. I'll pop a link in the description. I do make a lot of videos. And one of the best counters for them, as I pointed out in that video, is Gardevoir. Because you've got a lot of HP, because you can get a one-hit KO by piling energy on and taking advantage of their high attack costs, and because you're only giving up 2 at prizes, whereas they're giving up 3, Gardevoir is good against Tag Team GXs. So what you essentially do here is you get a couple of Gardevoir out, you start smashing, your opponent hits you back, you retreat to the bench and heal with Togekiss. You don't have to even retreat to the bench and heal, because here's the thing. Against something like a Zoroark, this will save a 2-hit KO. Zoroark generally does 120, because they've usually got a full bench. Now, Gardevoir's got 230 and a resistance, so Gardevoir's getting a 2-hit KO. But you've got a resistance. So if they use a choice band on one of their turns, they will be doing exactly 230 and getting a one-hit KO. If Togekiss comes out, They then need a choice band on both of their turns in order to get a 2-hit KO, and that changes the maths significantly. If you can be swapping between 2 Gardevoir so you can get 2 turns of healing, that means your opponent's just not getting a 2-hit KO with a Zoroark. That's huge, and that's largely what Togekiss is going to do here. It's lovely the idea that you can retreat to the bench and sit there for several turns and completely heal, and sometimes you will be able to. But that's going to be the exception rather than the rule. Most of the time, you are going to get 1 or 2 turns of healing, but what you're looking to do is just ruin the maths on your opponent. And Togekiss does this beautifully. We could say the same thing for Sylveon, which is a great disruption deck. And we did a couple days ago look at Lieutenant Surge, or Lieutenant Surge's strategy, I think it's called. That's going to be huge. That lets you play 2 supporters in a turn, as well as Lieutenant Surge, which means that disruption decks relying on stuff like Plumeria are just gonna get absolutely nuts. And Sylveon in Standard's the best one we've got, so fair to say Sylveon's gonna get a bit better, and this is gonna help. But don't forget the other card I looked at the other day, Rabombi, link in the description, which has got a phenomenal ability whereby when it's on the bench, your opponent's supporter cards don't do anything to your fairy Pokemon. Meaning that your opponent cannot Guzma the Togekiss in the active, so Togekiss is going to sit on the bench and have some fun. And yeah, maybe getting a Stage 2 Togekiss, a Stage 2 Gardevoir and a Stage 1 Rabombi is a pain, but that's not really the point here. I mean, if you want a basic, how about Sylveon and Gardevoir Tag Team GX? That's looking like it could be pretty good. That's got a fairly humongous 260 HP, that's a basic Pokemon, and it's fairy, so it can be healed up every turn using Togekiss. And the fact that Togekiss is a Stage 2, like I've said, not a huge problem, because we've got Alola Ninetales, who's also a fairy Pokemon, so can join in with some of the fairy fun time here. This is a Stage 2, so it's going to be awkward. I make no bones about that. But the fact that you can do all of this healing is great. Rough Seas was phenomenal. This, if you can get it rolling, is phenomenal. And you know what was one of the things about Rough Seas? You can only have one of them at a time. You can have multiple Togekiss out. And every Togekiss heals 30 damage. So if you've got 3 Togekiss out, that's 90 damage a turn from every fairy Pokemon. And sure, that's not going to happen very often. But you know that sooner or later you're going to play against a deck that's doing that. And it's going to be frustrating. As for the attack here, I don't hate it, which is saying a lot for a Pokemon that really relies on the ability. 1 fairy, 1 colourless energy, 70 damage. And look, if you're against a Rayquaza deck, this gives you a 1-hit KO with a choice band. And if you're playing this with Gardevoir, that gives you the extra energy attachment, so it turns into a 1-turn Pokemon. It's fine. It does decent damage. You get 1-hit KO on a whole bunch of evolving Pokemon, so you can catch something like a Zorua, or something like a Grubbin, which is nice. And essentially here, they're the KOs you're getting. Evolving Pokemon, or Pokemon that are weak, GXs that you can use Choice Band. Essentially Rayquaza. And it's nice if you can get a 1-hit KO here using a non-GX. And don't forget that this can heal itself. So you can go in and get a 2-hit KO on a Buzzwole, healing in the meantime. You can go and get a 2-hit KO on a Tapu Lele, and you'd only need Choice Band on one of the 2 attacks for a Tapu Lele. And if you just use this once to take down 1 GX, then you probably will be on the bench for the rest of the game, so you will be able to heal 30 from yourself every turn, and make it like you weren't attacked in return. I like this. It's not an attack that you rely on every game. Goodness, no. What it is a handy bonus where you can often get a cheeky KO, take a prize of a non-GX, and if you don't get 1-hit KO'd, you go to the bench, and over the next couple turns, you're healing up, while your opponent is focusing on trying to take down whatever you've got in the active that you're attacking with, which is probably going to be a better attacker. And for that, I like the attack. It's not stunning, but I do like it. I am going to go a little bit over the top and give this 4 Wassies. I really like this card. I know it's a Stage 2, and I know it's awkward, and I know not everybody's going to be able to use it, but I do believe that sooner or later someone's going to make a super annoying deck using Togekiss, and their opponent is just going to be stuck trying to deal with a deck that's healing 60 or 90 damage from all of their Pokemon every turn, and they just can't get a KO. I mean, imagine if you end up against something like a Tapu Koko, sitting there trying to spread 20 a turn, while you're healing 30 a turn from all of your Pokemon. That is not going to go well for them. So there we go. I like Togekiss, but I would very much like to know if you like Togekiss. So do let me know in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important rule as always. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays for some more Wassy action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.